So we're going to go ahead and get started, and we're you all have had prayer, I presume, right? Good. So we're in Proverbs 21, and we're at verse 23. So it's Proverbs 21, verse 23. Before we get going, are there any questions about anything we talked about last week? Any questions about last week? No? All right, good. We'll jump right in there. Okay? All right, Proverbs 23. 21, verse 23, I'm sorry. Proverbs 21, verse 23. And here's what we have. Whosoever keepeth his mouth and his tongue keepeth his soul from trouble. And most of the verses from here on out are really pretty self-explanatory, and each individual one kind of says exactly what it means, right? So it says, whosoever keepeth his mouth and his tongue keepeth his soul from trouble, simply means that you got to be careful what you say, right? Because what you say is, as people, as we often know, is that once it leaves your mouth, you can't take it back. So it is always better to think before you speak. And the best course of action is always to simply be quiet.
Keep your mouth closed.
Okay? Just keep your mouth closed. Because, there's an old saying that people would say that, some things you take to the grave. And what Solomon is attesting to is one simple fact, and that is, if you tell nobody, you don't have to worry about who revealed the secret. If you tell somebody, then you have just opened yourself up, because you will never know who actually revealed it. So if you want to keep it, keep it. Don't tell your best friend and then say, don't tell nobody. Take it to the grave. And that's what he's saying, okay? If you keep your mouth shut, you keep your soul from trouble, all right? 24, a proud and haughty scorner is his name, who dealeth in proud wrath. And what Solomon really is just telling us is, don't let your pride cause your anger. This is how we used to say it. Don't write a check that your behind can't cash. And that's all he's saying there. Okay? Don't write a check that your behind can't cash. 25 and 26 go together. The desire of the slothful killeth him, for his hands refuse to labor. He coveteth greedily all the day long, but the righteous giveth and spareth not. And again, it's all pretty straightforward, self-explanatory. And all Solomon is speaking to the point is that lazy people will not be wealthy. Just that simple. Lazy people will only have enough to get through the next moment in time. But he also says this, that people who are lazy and people who are greedy also are the kind of people that you should not expect to share. Okay? He says, and what makes that, I think, a worthy note is this, is that oftentimes we expect people to be like we are. We say things like, I would do it, expecting other folk to do it. And Solomon is helping us to appreciate something, to be forewarned is to be forearmed. In other words, once you know how a person is, stop expecting them to be different. Stop expecting people to be like you are, and accept that people are going to be like they are. Okay? 27 says, the sacrifice of the wicked is abomination. How much more when he bringeth it with a wicked mind? All right? Yeah. The sacrifice of the wicked is an abomination. And I know you would think that the Lord wants everybody to tithe and wants everybody to give their offerings, and certainly he does. But guess what? He doesn't even want the tithes from wicked folk. Okay? You can keep it if you're wicked, right? So if you're not giving from your heart, he's saying the Lord does not honor what you are doing. All right? Because he's saying, you know, like we used to always say the Lord loves the cheerful giver. And that's kind of what Solomon is saying here. If you're giving grudgingly, you should keep it because the Lord is not going to honor that. All right? Now, that's what Solomon says. I'm going to modify that a little bit, all right? Because Solomon didn't have dominion power to pay. I'm going to say, go ahead and give it, but the Lord ain't going to bless you for it, all right? Okay. But then he also says, not only that, but if you do it in that manner, okay, if you do it in that manner, that when you do it with a wicked mind, that you will end up getting punished for it. Okay? So what does it mean to give with a wicked mind? What do you think it might mean to give with a wicked mind? Yeah.
Well, it's like you give a huge amount of money to a college.
Mm-hmm.
And you're doing it not because you love the college, but because you want your kid in the college.
Right. And so how would that equate to church?
You give during Christmas time because you want to sing the Christmas solo.
Right. If you're giving to benefit you and not to benefit the mission that God has laid out. That's giving with a wicked mind. All right? Or if you're giving just for the sole purpose of being able to folk to know you gave. Like, you know, folk do sometimes when they're giving it. Excuse me, Pastor.
The Lord laid it on my heart.
Right, you know, I mean, when you're public, that's what I'm saying, right? Not if you, you know, but when people, I don't know if you've been in churches where, you know, when the folk like to let folk know they're giving, so they walk up to the front with $100 and lay it down. Go ahead, I'll start the offering off with $100. Boom, right? You know, if you're gonna start off with $100, then just go up there and lay it in the plate. You ain't got to say what it is, and that's what it's referring to. There's those people that like to be braggadocious about what they're giving so that they can look good, rather than giving to honor God with their gift. And that's what you're supposed to be doing, is honoring God with your gift, and not giving so you can look good and great because you given so much. Okay. 28 says, a false witness shall perish, but the man that heareth speaketh constantly. A false witness shall perish, but the man that heareth speaketh constantly. And that's, you know, that's straightforward stuff. It's just saying what? Nobody likes a liar. And so because of that, once you are labeled as a liar, people will not believe anything you say. Okay? Conversely, once you are labeled as one who speaketh the truth, people tend to believe everything you say. Okay? This is all he's saying there. Again, this is just straightforward stuff. 29 and 30, a wicked man hardeneth his face, but as for the upright, he directeth his way. There is no wisdom, nor understanding, nor counsel against the Lord. So, to harden your face means to do what? To frown. So, in a sense then, when he's saying that a wicked man hardeneth his face, but the upright he directeth his way, he's saying that the wicked man is stubborn toward the ways of God. That the wicked man always thinks that he already knows what's best, and so he doesn't value if a person is teaching them from the Bible. He doesn't value what the person says, because that person believes that they are above the wisdom of God. Okay? Now I know oftentimes people say, that's not me. Okay? But I can tell you that about 65-70% of the time when I'm counseling people, this is them. Okay? And let me give you a quick instance how this can be people, all right? You know, this is not directed at anybody in particular, just give me an example, all right? Now, if the shoe do fit, you got to wear it though, but you know, that's my purpose, okay? You know, like for example, there's sometimes when I'm counseling a couple, right? They'll come in and say, Pastor, I want premarital counseling. So I say, fine, you know, of course I'm gonna give you premarital counseling. So I'm giving them premarital counseling, and I notice some when I'm counseling them, which is when I check their address, they have the same address. So I may say something like this, are you all still living together? Yes, Pastor, we're still living together. When you plan on getting married? Oh, 8 months from now. And I'll say, well, what kind of counseling do you really want from me? You want premarital counseling. I say, well, let me give you the premarital counseling that the Bible says. Get married. Because y'all living together. So you've already established the fact that no matter what I say, you are what? Going to get married. So why are you living in a fornicative situation for 8 months? Right? But you know what most people's response is? Well, we're going to get married, Pastor. Now, that's just as what this is saying here. So in their minds, they don't think what they're saying is wicked. In their minds, they're thinking, well, we're going to get married, so it's okay. But what you just did was you went against what? The wisdom of God. You understand what I'm saying? Because the wisdom of God would suggest what? If he's good enough to sleep in my bed night after night, then I should be what? Good enough to be his wife. Right? And if I'm going to cook him breakfast in the morning, and cook him dinner at night, and wash his drawers, I should be his wife. Right? And so, but again, I'm just saying, people don't think about it that way, but it's just a simple one that people do all the time. And then we often wonder why things don't go golden for us. But anyway, that's there, okay? Verse 31 says, the horse is prepared against the day of battle, but safety is of the Lord. All that's saying is this: I don't care how much you plan, I don't care how well you plan, I don't care how much you strategize, if God doesn't protect you, you will lose. Okay? If God does not protect you, you will lose. Because no one plans to lose the fight. Everyone plans and strategizes to win. Everyone does not win. So if you are not a winner, that's because God took his protection away from you and allowed you to lose. For whatever reason, he made the decision. Okay? Probably because of the other first two verses I talked about. You thought you knew more than God knew. Okay? And that wraps up 21. Any questions on 21? All right, let's roll into 22 then. Okay? Now 22, as we first start out in 22, most of those verses are kind of standalone. But then as we travel through them, we can get to some of them which we're going to group together, okay? All right, so it starts off by saying something that we all ought to seek after. It says, a good name is rather to be chosen than great riches, and loving favor rather than silver and gold. And so what Solomon says to us right there is the thing that you should strive for is good character. That's all he's saying. That good character is worth more than anything you could hope for. Okay? Because when he says a good name, he's saying, you know what? Because what you want is to leave a legacy that speaks to your contribution to society and people that are around you. Okay? And money does not necessarily do that. In fact, I would be willing to wager right now, if you think about the people that impact your life the most, it will not be people who you thought was filthy rich. Right? Most of them are not. But they are the ones that meant the most to you in life. In fact, can anyone in here name 10 millionaires that are no longer alive?
That are no longer alive?
Yes. Yes.
Rockefeller. I'm thinking of Astor and Carnegie, and you want me to think about the ones that are...
No, I'm just saying it's taking you a long time to do it, ain't it? Now think of 10 people who are not millionaires that mean a lot to you. I bet you can name them just like that.
Oh, yeah.
I know. It's because the fact that they have money doesn't mean a whole lot, right? You can't take it with you. You better believe it. And so So that's why Solomon, and Solomon was rich, obviously. So, of course, when a rich man tells you this, you may be like, well, you rich, so what you know? You're already rich. But what he understood was that money did not get him what he wanted out of life. And in fact, when you have a lot of money, it's difficult to discern who your friends really are. Because you never know if they're friends with you because of your money, or if they're friends with you because they have your best interests at heart. Yeah? If you're rich and single, for example, you will never know why that person loves you. Right? That's why you feel compelled to get a prenup. See, when you broke, you don't ask for a prenup. You know what? I know you love me. Yeah, what else we got? You came with me when we had nothing. Now, I might get rich, but I will know what? You was with me when I had nothing. So therefore, I know if we do break up, it's my fault. Because I'm the one that's rich now. So, okay. All right. It says the rich and the poor meet together. The Lord is maker of them all. Right? That's a very true statement. It's simple but true. Right? It's simple but true. I don't care how much money you got to see God. Right? I don't care what you got to see God. And what you know is this: you can bribe your way into a whole lot of places, but you can't bribe your way into heaven. Right? That you can't do. And so if you are not in line with verse number 1, verse number 2 is going to be a problem for you. Okay? Because whether you're rich or poor, the Lord is the one that you got to deal with, because he created everybody. All right? A prudent man foreseeth the evil and hideth himself, but the simple pass on and are punished. We could stay there for an hour, but we won't. Okay. A prudent man foreseeth the evil and hideth himself. And this is just simple stuff. It's stuff that your mother taught you, stuff you ought to know, but for some reason we're not prudent. Okay? Now, why? It's saying that if you got good sense, you see trouble before trouble sees you. Right? And it says that you can see trouble, but if you're not wise, you'll keep right on heading toward it. I think one of the best examples of that is who we hang around with. And who we get tangled up with. For example, I don't have enough fingers or digits to count the number of people when I counsel that say to me, I should have known better. Y'all follow what I'm saying?
Amen.
I should have known better. But you did know better.
Anyway.
You just told to be blind to it.
Yeah.
And if you're blind to it, then that means what? You were not prudent. You walked right into the evil, because the evil was right there in front of your face. The joker won't know good when you were dating him. You kept on going anyway. Right? It makes no sense. Okay? But it says what? But the simple pass on and are punished. Because those people that see the problem but keep right on going, and even though they see it, they're going to reap what they deserve. Now, notice I didn't say reap what they sow. Solomon says you reap what you deserve. Now, what does that say to all of us who may have been simple at times?
Just deal with it.
Well, deal with it. That's what it's saying. It's saying stop acting like you are a victim of the other person.
Yeah.
You're not the victim. You chose it.
Went in. Yeah.
You saw the danger and you kept going. So why now get mad at the other person? It's like seeing a snake on the ground and you see the snake there, but you just say, well, I think I can step over top of him. And then you get bit. Now you're mad and want to go kill the snake. When you saw the snake. Now, think about this for a second. How many of us truly, you don't have to be honest with me, but just be honest with yourself. How many of us truly view life that way? That, you know what? I knew the fool was a fool when I was dealing with him. So now, well, I know you do now. I know, cause girl, you learned early. The rest of these folks took a long time to learn, but you learned fast. But think about it. How many of us really don't play the victim when we are hurt? See, most of us always play the victim when we are hurt. Like we should have been surprised. You knew it was coming. Now you're mad. Why? See, if he was wise, if you was wise, this is what it said you'd have done. You would have what? Hid. You would have hid from what you saw coming your way. Or you would have what? You would have made yourself such that the trouble couldn't find you. We don't make sure the trouble can't find us. We go find the trouble. We do. And then we get mad when the trouble say, yeah, I'm here. 4 says, by humility and the fear of the Lord are riches and honor and life. Okay? The first part is the one that eludes most of us. It eludes most of us. And what I like about this verse is that it segregates those things that to most of us we find as a reward. It says that by humility and the fear of the Lord, we can get riches, honor, and life. Those are 3 distinct things. Riches, honor, and life. The question becomes then, if I don't have riches, honor, and life, do I have humility and the fear of the Lord? And I can tell you that if you have humility and fear of the Lord, you will have those 3. If you don't have humility and fear of the Lord, one of those or more will be missing out of your life. So therefore, if one of those are missing out of your life, you have to ask yourself, which one don't I have? Is it that I'm not humble, or is it that I don't fear God? Okay? Now most people will say, I am humble, and I do fear God, but most people lie. Yes.
My question is, humility is something that you learn. Took me a while. I was on the short bus, but I'm wondering. My question is, what about fearing God? I've been taught to love and honor and understand, or try to understand His words, and do what He wants for me to do, and I don't fear Him. Does that make me a sinner?
Then you got a problem, yeah.
Yeah, well, tell me what it is.
You don't fear God, that's the problem. That's why you don't have those 3.
No, I really want you to clarify.
No, I'm being honest with you.
I don't know if I fear Him or
No,
not.
I can tell you though. That's why you keep saying what you're saying. But it's okay. You're not the only one that don't fear God. Most people in here don't fear God. They say they do, but they don't. That's why I said when they said they're lying.
What does the fear consist of?
Let me ask you a question. If I took a 45, put to your head, and start pulling the trigger back slowly, what would you do?
I'd get scared.
All right. So then why don't you view hell the same way?
Oh, yeah, okay. See, it was that
You follow me?
simple.
See, we don't view the lake of fire the same way. We act like that's just some fallacy. It's just some, some fairy tale. Or we say to ourselves, well, you know what? I bought some fire insurance.
Then I guess I fear the Lord because I'm afraid of hell.
No, you don't. I'm gonna tell you why I'm saying that. Okay? I remember what I said. We lie and say that. See, if I put the gun to your head, you will respond to it because you fear me pulling the trigger. If a guy walk in here right now and put a gun to your head and say, how much money you got in your purse? And you say $100, and he say, either give me 10, I'm gonna blow your brains out. You're gonna give him 10 gladly. And you're going to be thankful. You know why? He didn't ask for all of it. Right? Does anybody here disagree with that concept? I know, because you're going to be glad, ain't you? All you want is 10? My God. You take 10? Matter of fact, he go 5 more.
That's right.
Why? Because he ain't take it all. Right? I know. Think about that. But listen, here's the thing. If I believe that not adhering to God's commandment will cause him to what? Not take care of me. If he has a commandment that says, bring me all the tithes into the storehouse, but yet I'm comfortable giving him 25 cents and I make $1,000.
No, that,
I must not really fear him. See, I fear the guy with the gun, but I don't fear God. If I feared God, it would never be a question. I would just do it because you know what? It's in there and it's said to do it. If I feared God the way God, intends for me to fear him, all the commandments would be easy. Because I would break my neck to follow them.
I just, and I'm not arguing with you.
No, I know.
I'm not. But when they say to fear God, I know I have a physical reaction to fear. And with, like when I think, oh my goodness, I could go to hell on this one. I get panicked.
Now, I hear what you're saying, but my point is that our actions defy that. Because, see, what we think of is that immediate stuff and not everyday stuff. For example, if I feared God the way I say I fear God, then I would come to church every Sunday. I don't care what was happening in my life. I would be here and I'd be thanking God that I still have life. If I really feared God. Okay? Let me tell you something. If I really feared God, then when I came to church, I wouldn't bring not one piece of candy, not one soda, not one chicken wing, not one biscuit into the sanctuary. You know why I say that? There ain't a person in here that will go into a courtroom and treat the courtroom the way they treat the sanctuary. When that judge is sitting up there, you ain't gonna sit there and turn around and keep talking. Yeah, child. Oh my goodness. You ain't gonna bust out laughing. You ain't gonna be up and down. You know why? Because you fear the judge. You fear the judge gonna say, contempt the court, take them out of here. You can't even read a book in the courtroom. You gotta pay attention. You can't bring your phone in the courtroom and three. Hey, what you doing? Oh, no, I'll call you back. You can't do that in a courtroom, but you do it in the church. See, that's what I mean when I say we fear God. But if you fear God, those something we wouldn't do, but we do it all the time. How many times y'all been sitting here and somebody's phone start ringing, and then I sit there and I'll mess with them. Right? But if you feared God, what you would do? You turn that joker off. Why would you have your phone on when you're dealing with God? So what you tell me what's more important to God, to you? Is it God or who you waiting on to get a call from?
No, it's.
I don't mean, I mean you personally, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Because you can look at your phone and still turn it, so what? Put it on airplane mode. Yeah. See, having a phone and just, saying that, well, I got it because I'm reading my Bible from it. It ain't got to ring because you're reading your Bible from it. That's what it makes airplane mode for. It's all the silence, all the other kind of stuff. I'm saying that's the reality of it. See, people don't come to church regardless, but they'll go to work regardless. See, so they don't fear. So they wonder why one of those things are missing. If you feared him, you would do what he said. If you do what he said, you will get this. Because he's going to do what he said. We just won't do what we say.
Do you think there's a misconception amongst us as Christians that because of grace, if we teeter-totter the line or we step off, that it's okay?
I think that it is more than the idea of grace. I think because just what Leah said, people have taught that fear doesn't mean what fear means. They have taught, the concept of love and, respect and people have said to people, I've heard people say it, that really means to show great respect, to great reverence and honor. No, it doesn't. It means what it says, to fear, to be afraid of disobeying him. That's what it means. See, logically, think about this. If God has said in his word that there is a lake of fire to put you in, and we don't think he means what he says, That would suggest that what he's trying to tell you, you need to be terrified of me. Because I will put your butt in a lake of fire and you will burn there to eternity. Now, that doesn't suggest to people he really means to be terrified of him. We are terrified of a terrorist. Right? But they can't do to you what God can do to you. In fact, Jesus even said that. If you're going to be scared of somebody, be scared of the one that can put you behind in hell. Ain't it in the word? But see, that's not how we categorize God. You know, we haven't taught that. So since we don't teach that, we teach it the other way around, and people don't like to believe that. Because what they like to believe is, oh, he's a loving God. He's a loving God.
When I was little, I was afraid of God. When I was
Right,
little.
but then when you learn he was a loving God. And just don't even work for it, right? Because just means what? Yeah, but being healed right now.
Right.
Right? But that's something saying, that's our concept though. Right. Yeah. He's this, he's that, he's that. And so we don't deal with this the way Solomon is putting it out there. Because if I fear God, and, you know, Jesus said what? If you keep, Jesus said this way, if you love him, you'll keep his commandments. Now think about this for a second. Did you keep your mama's commandments out of love or out of fear?
Fear.
Oh no, out of fear. Anybody wash dishes out of love? You wash dishes because what? If I don't, it's gonna be switch time around. So the point is clear of who God is and what God has done. I mean, let's think about this for just a second here. God gets tired of people in Sodom and Gomorrah. What does he do? Kill them. He killed every last one of them with fire. And I'm supposed to not be afraid of that? See, it doesn't make sense when you really think about what God has done to think to yourself, well, you know, God, all right, he ain't gonna hurt nobody. He ain't gonna hurt nobody. He killed everything. Think about when the flood came. How many people survived? Oh, I got you, but first answer my question. Before the flood came, after the flood, how many people survived?
A few that he chose. One family.
Well, what? You had Noah, you had wife, you had how many sons? Right, and their wives, right? Now, if that's the case, you think all the motherfuckers out there saying to themselves, I ain't scared. Just a little rain. You might have started out saying that. You think that Noah was thinking that when he saw all these folk out there screaming and hollering and drowning, that I ain't scared of you. I ain't scared of you, Lord. If he wasn't scared of him, he wouldn't have built the ark. You don't build an ark if you ain't scared of God. All the folk joking on you. Hey, fool, what you doing? I'm building a boat. A boat for what? Ain't no water around here. It's gonna rain. It's gonna rain big enough to folk. That big thing, please. Who gonna believe that? Nobody did. His wife didn't believe it. His children didn't believe it. The animals didn't believe it. You know? But he feared him enough to do it, right? We don't fear God enough to build the ark. So we don't.
What makes you say that?
Because I counsel everybody around here, and I got your emails too. Yes.
Would it be fair to say because there's a major disconnect between how God talked and dealt with them then and how we see, because we don't have those prophets or whatever, that direct line. Let me finish. In our minds, we don't view.
Oh, in your mind. See, they didn't either.
We don't view that connection.
They didn't either. That's why they got. See, they didn't drown because they thought they were going to drown. They drowned because just like you don't believe, they didn't believe. If they believed, they wouldn't have drowned. So it was the same disconnect.
Okay.
They didn't believe. You think them folk in New Orleans believe when Katrina came through?
Nope.
That's why half of them dead right now. Why? They believe they got out. They didn't. Not only did they got to be the prophet, they didn't be the news people. People don't believe. We talk about. Okay, for example, how many folk that you know of that stay broke all the time?
Whole lot.
I know. That tells you right there what. If you stay broke, that means you know what will get you broke. But yeah, you do the same thing again. And keep on doing it. And keep on doing it. And keep on doing it. It's the definition of what he says here is what they are, fools. They, that's what he called. He said that that they are not prudent. They are simple. And simple really is a polite way of calling you a fool. It's simple-minded. And I'm saying that if you think about it, if you have humility and fear, it changes how you do things. Humility helps you to understand who you are compared to the God that you serve. Right? That's number one. Right? So I recognize that none of my ways can in any way equal God's ways.
Amen.
So I understand that right off the bat. Now, if I truly understand that right off the bat, that directs how I conduct business. And most people don't do business the way the Bible says do business. Because see, most people don't operate off of 80% of their income. Do they? No. So right there, you started off, wrong, because you haven't done what he told you to do from just that simple thing that, even though it's right there in the Bible, but even though it makes sense, we still don't do it. It's like I was listening to a comedian last night about 4 o'clock in the morning, because every night I'm up that late at night, and here's what he said. He's from Cat Williams, right? He's from Cincinnati, Ohio. And he said, I can't believe this. He said, I came home, I had a little money in my pocket, so I came home to do the show. He said, and I see this guy, and the guy pulls up beside me, and he got spinners on, right? He said, now I'm going back to the neighborhood to hang out with the fellas. He said, the guy with the spinners pulls into the neighborhood and pulls in, and that's where the guy live at. So the guy got $2,000 worth of wheels on his car, living in the projects. What sense did that make? See, that's simple. That's simple-mindedness. So it ain't that we don't know, we just don't do. Because we don't have the humility to say, you know what, I don't know, God knows. And do what God says do. Just that simple. We don't have the humility and we don't have the fear. Because if we feared God, the preaching would be a lot easier. See, if you feared God, let me tell you something. Most of you want to know the rules of legislature, the rules that govern you on your job, the rules that govern you driving. You want to know them rules, don't you? Well, where are the folk that want to know the rules for prosperity? Where they at? See, if I feared God, I would want to know God's rules. I would want to know his laws because I would not want to get a ticket. Follow me? That's just that basic reality. But I don't care about God's laws. So you know what? I come to church, I worship, and I go home. And I'm ignorant of his laws. I'm ignorant of his rules because I don't fear him. If I feared him, I'd be trying to figure out my God. See, people you fear, you try to figure them out. So you can do what pleases them because you are afraid of them. See, everybody wants to make the bully happy. So he won't knock you out. You can keep your lunch money. But everybody ain't trying to figure out what makes God happy. You know what we want God to make us happy. Not we trying to make him happy. I'm using him figuratively because I know some ladies might say, how you don't know he ain't a woman? Might be, I don't know. Okay? Is that enough on that one?
Yep.
Okay, all right. 5 says, thorns and snares are the way of the froward. He that doth keep his soul shall be far from them. This, this is really, I could have put those two together in a sense, right? Because people who operate in a perverse manner are always digging themselves out of trouble. Always. The impeachment really to me is like this verse is like boom, like right there. Okay? Now, here's what I don't know how much you all know about, Donald Trump. Not just his presidency, but know about him in general. If you know anything about him, here's what you know. He was born with a bunch of money. Daddy was a millionaire, right? His daddy gave him, $1 million to start out, right? And he used his father's friends to, as co-signer to do stuff. You know how many times that man done filed bankruptcy? Yeah, I mean, it's always, you know what? But think about it. Thorns and snares have always been in his way. He's filed bankruptcy numerous times, right? He's been sued numerous times. Now, he's catching all kind of mess. He might act like he's smiling, but you know good and doggone well that he ain't smiling when them cameras ain't on him. You can tell that by the tweets.
People are saying it's a witch hunt.
Right. Oh yeah, all that stuff because so the bottom line is what? Thorns and snares. He's not having what you would consider to be a presidency where he's enjoying being president. But I'm just saying, it says here that thorns and snares are the way of the froward. It didn't say they couldn't be in power. It didn't say they couldn't have money. It said that when you are perverse, you won't be able to enjoy that which you get. You can't enjoy. He couldn't even enjoy the prostitute. Come on, man. You paid for that one. You paid $150,000 for her, and you couldn't even enjoy it.
Well, maybe at the time.
Huh? Not according to her. Who won't believe?
Yeah.
I'm just saying. $150,000? Come on, bro. You couldn't even enjoy that. I'm just saying, right? But he that doth keep his soul shall be far from them. In other words, far from what? The thorns and snares. It's saying what? If you follow God's program, you may not have $1 million, but you have a life that you are happy with. It won't always be something you got to duck and dodge around. Straightforward stuff. Then verse 6 and 15 go together. All right? Most of you don't have this problem because your kids are grown. But if your kids aren't grown, then teach your kids so they can whoop up on your grandkids first. Okay? Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. I need to preach on that on Sunday, don't I? And then 15 says, foolishness is bound in the heart of a child, but the rod of correction shall drive it from him. Okay? Now, basically what they say, well, a couple of things. What? First, I'm gonna do the reverse. I'm gonna do the reverse, right? 15 first. Here's what it says first: is that expect a child to act like a child, because that's what they are. However, in order to mature the child, you must punish them so childish ways will disappear. Right? And that's really what it's saying: is that if you don't, they will keep those childish ways into adulthood, and they will be grown, but acting like a child. It sounds like a whole lot of people I know. Ain't just like president. A whole lot of people. 90% of the people I know don't act their age. They don't. They act an age, but not their chronological age. I know 60-year-old folk that ain't got good sense. How you live 60 years? and ain't got good sex. It's a long time. I mean, think about it. I know 50-year-old folk. Not just act 20, act worse than 20. How you live that long and still ain't figured out life? Here's the thing. If it takes you a lifetime to figure out life, you will miss it all. You want to figure out life early enough so you can enjoy it. And if you haven't figured it out, I know you don't like to hear this, it's your mama and your daddy's fault. Because they did not do what 15 says. They did not correct you enough early on so you could mature. See, let me give you a quick example. See, nowadays, let's say you're playing sports. You know, your kids, you're playing on a team, you're playing on a sports team, right? Nobody loses.
That's crazy.
Nobody loses. So everybody wins. So why is it children? That's why children expect so much now. They expect because nobody loses anymore. You got kids in school and their parents will take up for them when they are wrong. Or their parents will see the little joker talking to an adult like they are equal and not correct them. And if you correct them, the parent mad at you. And then when I got to go visit the child down at the detention center, that's why I don't even go. See, I don't go. Now, I'll go to court with them, but I will not go to the detention center. Unless what they did was justifiable. I don't do it. Some people mad at me, but I won't do it. It's like I don't visit folk in jail but one time. One time, why? I ain't put you there. You could sit there. And my daddy told me, he said, if you go to jail for committing a crime, don't call me. If you go to jail for something righteous, I'll come and I'll put my house up for you. That'll be those. Now, I figure if it was good enough for me, it's good enough for you.
Yeah.
I ain't put my house up for you. Listen, I was honest last Sunday. I said what? I mean, last Wednesday night. I was honest. What? I don't love y'all like I love myself. Now, I love you, but not like I love me. I am a work in progress. That's right. Huh? Huh? If he don't get you out, girl, you stuck. You don't got to be figured out. If he left you there, you need to be there. Because if you was a good wife, he would be right there getting you. That's how you figure it out. Like some people say, and this ain't got nothing to do with text right here, but like some people say something, so-and-so homeless. And I'd be like, well, don't their mama live around the corner? Yeah. Well, if mama won't let you in, if your mama won't let you stay with her, well, hey, it's done deal. You need to keep outside.
As the director of the shelter for a number of years, there were people whose parents were dead.
That ain't what I said, did I said mama live around the corner now. Hold on, Liz. Hold on, Liz. I did not say mama lived in Roosevelt Lawn. I don't expect them to go live in the cemetery. I said what? Live around the corner. Operative words what?
I didn't hear that.
Live.
Okay.
Live. If mama dead, let me tell you something. If mama dead, mama was a bad parent. If mama dead and the child is homeless. Bingo.
How old is the child?
I don't care. No, even if she doesn't, let me tell you why I'm saying this. I don't care. Here's the thing. Because if I raised my child to depend on me, I was a bad parent. I should have raised my child to be independent. Right? Now let's say my child crazy, because they might be. If they are crazy, that's why they got SSI. Either way, they should be covered, right? And I should have taught, and before I died, I should have been down social service and look here. That joke was crazy as it bipolar, manic depression, and everything else. And so they got a permanent home, right in Williamsburg, East State.
Right beside Williamsburg.
Okay? And they can't stay there, they go to Central State. All I'm saying is this. See, I know this might sound cruel, but I'm telling you the real deal is this. See, we act like the Bible is, the Bible needs to conform to our beliefs. No, it don't. We need to conform to the Bible system. Here it just tells you what? Knock the child out of that joker so they can become an adult.
Right.
Do it. Stop playing with them. Do it. But you do it a level at a time. You don't make a 3-year-old act like a 20-year-old. You make a 3-year-old act like a 4-year-old. You make the 4-year-old act like the 5-year-old, and you keep moving them up. So by the time they get, out of school, they're good to go. Now, then it says what? It says what? Train up the child.
Yes.
That means you got to put some effort into it. There are too many parents that put no effort into raising their children. They expect the school to raise their children. They expect their mama to raise their children. This says it's your job. Train up the child in the way he should go. Not the way that the world tells him to go, but in the way he should go. And when he is old, he will not depart from it. Now, some folks say he won't depart far from it. Let me tell you something. If you train them, they won't depart from it. You don't depart from what you've trained, what you've been trained to do. How many of y'all turn the lights on by turning them off? Nobody. You know why? Because you were trained to what? Turn them on. How many of y'all put gas in your car by holding the thing inside on the seat?
Oh, I do all the time.
Why? Because you've been trained what? To put it in and bump the gas. I'm saying, see, that which you have been trained to do, you don't depart from it. That which you have not been trained to do, you will do whatever you think is right. This is bottom line. You know? But that's what we don't do. We don't, especially in this generation that we're in. And I'm not saying this to everybody, but I'm saying it is more apparent in the baby boomer generation is the generation that kind of started moving away from this concept, and it kept getting further and further and further and further away.
But we still, I'm a boomer, but I still discipline my children.
No, I didn't say we didn't. I said we started moving further and further away.
Yeah, but kids need discipline because if they don't have it, they don't feel safe.
I agree with you, but I'm still saying what I'm saying.
Yeah.
The baby boomer generation is a generation that started moving them away from it. Because we are the generation that had. We the generation that got. We started getting. So we started saying, I'm going to give to my child what I didn't have. We started it. So then our children became, like it felt entitled. And so then they definitely had their children thinking that they're entitled. These little jokers, they expect everything. I'm serious. I'm serious. My grandson came to me and wanted me to buy him a little toy that cost $200. I said, what? You're a 7-year-old kid. You want me to spend $200 on you? Well, yeah, Mama said you got plenty of money. See, that's how them little jokers think. When you got little kids walking around with an I-10 phone, what's somebody doing with an I-10 phone they ain't got a job? It makes no sense. What a little kid doing walking around in Jordans? Who spends $200 on a pair of shoes for a kid whose feet is still growing? See, that gives us an entitlement. So you're training them to think that the world should always give to them, that they should always have. And so when they don't have, they don't know how to deal with it. See, you wonder why kids today commit suicide more than we committed suicide? Because the stuff they kill themselves over, we ain't think nothing of it. If I didn't have a pair of Jordans, I wasn't going to kill myself. Please. I wore my brother's shoes with holes in them, with paper in the bottom. And we ain't had no Jordans. So therefore, he was depressed. Huh? I'm serious. You think about it. He was bullied. You know what? I'm so sick of these folks talking about he was bullied. That's why he committed suicide. Bullied? I got bullied every day. You know what my brother used to tell me? Do what you do. Next time he whoop your behind, find this little brother and whoop his behind. That's what he told me. That's what he said. He said, and this is what you're going to do. We're going to find out who can take a whooping the longest. Ain't nobody stopped the boy from bullying me. I had to go whoop his little brother. His little brother had to go tell him, hey, leave him alone. I can't take him. I had no whooping with that boy. See, we got bullied all the time. Nobody stopped us from getting bullying. And we just had thick skin, that's all. You just grew up knowing what? Learn how to run. You learn how to fight, and you learn how to run. But you ain't gonna commit suicide because somebody called you out of a name. But see, that's what I'm saying. We haven't trained the children the way they ought to be trained. We ate dirt when we were kids. See, that's why we can take anything. These little jokers are allergic to everything. They're allergic to bananas. They're allergic to hair. They're allergic to dust. They're allergic to everything. We ain't allergic to nothing. You know why? Because we ate dirt. Anybody wash nothing off? You got fruit, did y'all wash fruit off when y'all got fruit from the store? No, anybody wash nothing off. You gonna pick stuff off a tree that had pesticide on it now. Anybody wash nothing off.
In America, we're the only country that is allergic to everything. And peanuts is the biggest allergy, except that it's keeping kids alive in Africa.
But not only, look, it kept people alive in America.
Yeah.
A PBJ was a standard lunch meal. Everybody had peanut butter and jelly sandwich for lunch. Everybody, the whole neighborhood. You go to school and somebody talking about trading a sandwich, you know, it didn't matter why. Because the only difference was what? You had grape jelly? You had strawberry jelly. But everybody had peanut butter. And it wasn't Jiffy either. It was that generic stuff. With the oil be on top. Because you're not a baby boomer. That's why. See, I know. You generation.
Yes.
Can never slice it right. There's always a way.
See, we got trained up. We got trained up to take stuff. And that's why we can take stuff. We can take bullying. We can take you talking about us. Matter of fact, that was part of what we did as a game. We played the dozens. And the dozens was simply what? I'm going to talk about your mama. I'm going to talk about my mama. You break down first. That's what we did. We had nothing to do. We had no Xbox.
That was the best.
Right, y'all got me rounded up on that one. Okay. All right. So, So yeah, right, there we go. So we're going to start at verse 7, all right? Because it's 8 o'clock now, yeah. Yeah, move kind of fast after y'all got cranked up. All right, okay, listen, I guess it's cold out here, right, folk out here. So be careful driving home, all right? God bless you, may heaven smile upon you.
Hey, Pastor, what's the best moment you told?